Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Primal Chaos here, and today I'm going to be doing another look at Band-Maid. Now, one thing that I did in the last, I did a video recently of warning, and I asked the question, what's the next logical step to take to hear a little bit more about the band? And what the overwhelming response was that it doesn't matter. Literally any song. For Band-Maid fans, which I'm probably quickly becoming one, it seems to be that like the overwhelming response was it doesn't matter. You can pick any one of their 100 songs and it will be a good choice. You know, there's ones that are obviously more somber and quiet, some that are more punk, some that are more rock and roll. So any direction you take will take you on a different kind of journey. So I went through and I had a quick look and I noticed that Dominiation came up fairly often, as did just about every other song. But I saw the live video for this pop up on my YouTube and I'm like, okay, maybe that's the one I'll do, just because it looks, from the thumbnail and a quick 2-second look I had at it, that it looked like a lot of fun. So I'm going to jump in and have a listen to this and see where this takes us. Now, what I really liked about Warning was the energy was really high. There's some really cool repetitive sort of guitar melodies that sort of catch your attention. Interesting structurally, things like that. So that's what we're kind of looking for today, and maybe seeing how this song differs from that. But let's take a look. Nice. Isa! Strong melodies again. Okay, we're going to get back to that in a second. That's cool. So what I'm noticing first up is sort of the same thing. They are really good at introducing basic melodies through either the guitar or whatever, that become these ear hooks that you immediately know what it is and what's going on. You can almost predict it. You could sing the melody that she's playing before you've even heard it. Except that little tweaky note at the end, which was like a little semitone thing, which I kind of liked. Or maybe it was a bend that sort of threw your ear off a little bit. But again, high energy, melodically really strong. I'm really digging this. This is really cool. Again, I like the energy. It's kind of, there's parts in there that have more in line with bands like Motorhead. That sort of driving, sort of punk sort of rhythm. And there's a lot of low end energy in this. It's really very centered around the bass guitar, sort of having that sort of thing, which kind of reminds me more of that. But then obviously the vocals come in and it's a whole different tangent with like more of a pop aesthetic. But yeah, like everything, again, it just works really well. There's so much going on, so much talent on stage. And it's just fun to watch. You're really kind of envious of people who are in the crowd. Let's go back a little bit so we can go into that solo. I don't know why, that just makes me smile. Just the camera panning around. She's having a blast, and that's what you want to see. That's really cool. Nice. sorry, I got to hear that little breakdowny bit again. Going into that next bit, which seems like it's just raging punk vibes. Because there's just so much going on. Like this, it's like, you know, it's hard to keep track of what's going on because you've got like suddenly everything drops out with the drum beat, and then you got these vocals sort of pumping in, you know, backing vocals and stuff sort of coming in over the top, and just little hits here and there. It's really cool. Nice. Okay, we'll get to that in a second as well. But man, it's just a good chorus, and it's got moments there for call and response with the crowd, which crowds always love. One other thing I wanted to point out, I'm going to have to check this out again later. What I'm finding is there's the subtitles are translated on the bottom, and when I try to sort of interpolate what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, and trying to sort of catch the meaning of the lyrics at the same time, it throws off the cadence of everything in my mind, because she's singing most of the lyrics in Japanese with a really cool sort of rock and roll sort of cadence that fits really well with the music. But then when your eyes are seeing something different that you can't negotiate those syllables into the timeline, it throws you off, and it throws off your timing. So I've just started ignoring them. I'm gonna have to maybe watch it again at a later date and get a rundown of what the lyrics are about. But I think it's essentially just a rock and roll party song, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to avoid looking at the subtitles for now, because I'm really enjoying her phrasing and stuff like that. I don't need to understand what she's saying at this point. I just think it's a great rock song. But let's go back a little bit, because it's coming into, again, another really cool sort of change up. Cool. It's not often you get to see that these days, man. Let's go back up. That's a bass solo goes into a guitar solo. I didn't realize what was happening at first, so I need to check that again. Come on. I don't care who you are, man. That's just straight up rock and roll. I'm so down. I don't know, there's something about it that just tickles the right part of my brain, right? Just the imagery, what you're hearing, the skill level. It's just rock and roll. They're having a good time. You can tell the crowd's having a great time. It's just a great rock show. You know, a lot of people said that. They said you got to see their live videos to see their live energy. And I can see what they're saying now. It just seems like it'd be a hell of a lot of fun. But just that, two maids just smashing out guitar solos. I'm in. I'm in. Come on. Drum solo. Come on. Arigato to you too. Excellent. Wow. All right, hang around till after the break and I'll give my summary. Hey guys, this video is made possible by Enchroma. 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 women are colorblind, and if that happens to be you, there's something you can do about it. Click the link in the description, it'll take you to Enchroma's website where you can get a free eye test. And while you're there, maybe pick up some corrective lenses. They've got styles to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you got really nothing to lose. And while you're there, use the code CHAOS in checkout to get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you. Okay, I'm starting to get a vibe now of like exactly what you guys were saying about like, there's just, they just know how to write songs that people like. I think that's what it comes down to, you know, everybody telling me, man, you know, you got to check them out doing this or that or whatever, you know, watch them live to see their energy. Doesn't matter which song you choose. They're all going to be good. And I get that vibe now. They write crowd pleasers, and that's a really cool skill to have. What was I going to talk about? Oh yeah. So one thing I find really interesting is that I remember like a lot of my knowledge of, I'm just going to find it cool, so you're not just looking at a black screen there. My knowledge of sort of Japanese culture is pretty limited, to be fair. But one thing I do know is that like back in the 80s and, you know, even through the 90s and stuff like that, I know that heavy metal was really, really well received in Japan. Particularly very technical stuff like virtuoso guitarists and stuff like that. I always heard stories of them touring Japan, playing at, you know, Budokan or whatever. And always having these incredibly devoted fans over there, right? Albums selling huge in Japan, things like that, tours of Japan. And one of the things that I'd heard is that, and again, this is coming from completely from a place of ignorance, but I heard the shows were really unusual there because often the crowds wouldn't cheer or anything or make noise or sing along, but in between songs they'd clap, you know, very politely and things like that. And I'm also sort of led to believe that maybe that was kind of a rule. It wasn't so much the crowds sort of were behaving that way of their own volition. I think it was just, see, I always took it as maybe it was a cultural thing, but maybe not. So fill me in if you know, right? But I know that metal was really popular over there, sort of, you know, throughout the 80s, 90s and so on. But see, now I'm sort of starting to get this sort of impression that it's a little bit more complicated than that. And then, you know, a while back I saw a Maximum the Hormone video, where they were doing their hardcore sort of segment of the song to a clearly a hardcore crowd, where they're all losing their minds and just like probably way more violently than your typical Western hardcore crowd, right? And that shocked me because I'm like, okay, that seems strange. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, listen, if you're in a culture that's very socially regimented and strict and I mean, this is a place where I'd heard that, you know, in school, all the graffiti was written in pencil because they would hold the entire school back until somebody erased the graffiti, you know, things like that, like very strict social policies and things. So that's the impression I was given. And then I see this punk attitude sort of manifesting. I'm like, wow, okay, well, it makes sense, because if you're socially very tightly wound, then when you're given the opportunity for that rebellion, which is punk music or whatever, then of course you're going to take it to the next level, you know, because repression breeds that sort of passion. That's where punk music came from, you know, when you know, no one had money and the lower class was being stomped on and things like that. That's where that attitude came from. And so, you know, now I see that like this sort of thing's happening currently, and it's like, again, it's sort of confusing. But it's like, I love the fact that what they're producing is kind of so joyful, you know, like you can see they're performing on stage, you know, there's performative sort of energy that you can have where you've seen bands that have been around since the dawn of time, and they run around the stage and they do all their antics, step up on top of the piano to sing a particular song or whatever. And it's kind of like they're just dragging out the old routine. Whereas this seems different. You can see the joy on their faces. You can see they're getting into the crowd interaction, which is really fun to see. And, you know, I don't know, has Japan changed? Is there a cultural shift there that sort of underpins what I'm seeing here? Or was the cultural thing that I was aware of, you know, from back in the day, was that actually incorrect? Maybe that wasn't the way things were in reality. It was just the stories and the anecdotal stories you heard from outside the country, you know? I'm really curious to know. But look, to be honest, back to the song. I mean, it's just a punchy rock song, really hooky hooks, great vocals. I mean, this really demonstrates this would be a live show favorite, because it's where, I mean, everybody in that crowd has a favorite in this band, I guarantee it. And they get to see each of their favorites doing their thing. And that's always a treat for a crowd, right? You got your bass solo, 2 guitar solos, drum solo, everything you wanted from a performance aspect. And again, their interaction with each other is hella fun to watch as well. You know, man, you know, they just tick all the boxes. What's not to like? Seriously. And visually as well. Someone in the comments mentioned, I hope that they never get rid of the maid costumes, because it'd be like when Kiss took their makeup off. And you know what happened? Kiss put their makeup back on. That's what happened. So, you know, man, look, these guys just have a lot going for them. They clearly have a crowd, you know, of fans that are there to back them up at every step. I've seen arguments break out online between fans of other bands and Band-Maid fans. So, you know, I mean, they deserve all their accolades. They really are great. And yeah, I think next up I'll probably do something. So there's a song everyone keeps mentioning that's more of a laid back sort of acoustic song or something like that, which I'll have a look into and maybe do next. Because I really want to see what else there, you know, is in their toolkit, because this wasn't too different from Warning, really. And that's fine, because I like both of these songs, so zero disappointment. But yeah, anyway, I think that's about all I've got to say. I think I covered most of it during the playback. But again, if you feel like I've brightened your day, feel free to buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. All these videos get demonetized, so that helps. And yeah, like, share, follow, hit the bell, all that stuff. And yeah, keep these requests coming, because I'm really digging this. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.